Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them, all lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
No, it's not planned. Certainly, it's not planned by us. I mean, he came here to surrender at a time agreeable to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then they arrested him last night. I spent the evening with him. I was with him till about 1 o'clock. His spirits are good. He's confident. He is dealing with this head on, the way he's dealt with every challenge in his life, and he's not guilty. He's innocent of these charges. We know what the charges are going to be. Without seeing the indictment, it's going to be racketeering, it's going to be sex trafficking, it's going to be things along those lines. This is what we've been expecting since the searches in March. He, to his great credit, he voluntarily came to New York. Not a lot of defendants do that. He came to New York to basically engage the court system and start the case, and it'll start today. And he's going to plead not guilty, obviously. He's going to fight this with all of his energy and all of his might and the full confidence of his lawyers. And I expect a long battle with a good result for Mr. Combs.
Hey, tea sippers. I hope you guys are doing good today. When I tell you that Cat Williams' gift is the gift that keeps on gifting, okay? Like he said back then, all of these big dick deviants will be exposed, like I've been exposing Diddy for years, after being cussed out, threatened, people disrespecting me, people going hard for Diddy. Now the chickens are coming home to roost. Papa Diddy was arrested last night. Y'all know I've been reporting that he's been out there in Harlem, trying to Harlem shake with a bunch of washed up, crackish men, trying to get that street credibility back. Whereas, when he was doing good, he never went to Harlem to go slum around with crackish people, okay? He always hung with the elites and, was out there in Hollywood with all his Hollywood friends. But, once he got into trouble, he wanted to go back to his roots. Well, while out there trying to find his roots, the police basically ran up on him and arrested him. And they said that they were going to wait till today to arrest him, but I think they felt that he might get ready to run. So they ended up arresting him last night. Now, the lawyer's saying that we already know what the charges will be. There'll be possible sex trafficking and drugs. We've been prepared for this. My client is innocent. Yeah, the same client that you said didn't put hands on Cassie. And then all of a sudden, whoopsie daisy, the damn video leaked of Diddy basically kicking her down the hallway like a football. That Diddy that you claim did nothing wrong. So anyways, I don't buy anything his lawyer's saying. I don't believe anything his lawyer's saying. Right now, I do have access to the 14-page indictment. So guess what, bitch? I got on my Mother Goose glasses and I am ready to read. So I'm going to go ahead and read the indictment with y'all. I'm going to screen record it so you guys can, look at the pages along with me. So give me a chance to set this up because we are going to go ahead and get this case cracking, child. All right, so this is page 1 of the indictment here. And it says, for decades, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, a.k.a. P. Diddy, Diddy, PD, a.k.a. Love Child. He got all these damn aliases. Anyways, the defendant abused, threatened, coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on employees, resources, and the influence of a multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates and attempted to engage in, amongst other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The defendant operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, Combs Global. Corporate entities in the Combs business include, amongst other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. The defendant engaged in and persistent, persuasive patterns of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women into participating in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, amongst other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Physical abuse by Sean Combs was recurrent and widely known on numerous occasions from at least about 2009 and continuing for years. Combs assaulted women by, amongst other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. These assaults were at times witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in March of 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. When a member of the hotel's security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs' violence was not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse and others. Sean Combs, the defendant, used Combs' business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex. These employees include security staff, household staff, personal assistants, high-ranking supervisors, and other close associates acted as Combs' intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs in control of Combs' business. So once again, this is why a lot of these folks in the industry are quiet, like his BFF Harvey, Pierre, and many others, because they were just as involved. This is no different than the R. Kelly case. When shit got hot, folks started, telling on each other and jumping ship. Same thing with Diddy. These men cannot do these things by themselves. They have to have help, okay? So let me go ahead and continue on. From at least 2008 through on or about the date of filing of this incident, Sean Combs, the defendant, and others known and unknown were members and associates of a criminal organization, Combs Enterprise, or The Enterprise. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, amongst other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purpose of prostitution, coercion, enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The Combs Enterprise included in its leadership its members, its associates, constituted an enterprise as defined by Title 18, United States Code Section 19614. That is a group of individuals associated in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs Enterprise consists of Sean Combs, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, Combs Global, individuals employed by and associated with Combs business, and others known and unknown. I'm going to kind of skip around a bit because they're kind of repeating themselves. So on line 11, it says the purpose of Combs Enterprise, including the following: operating a global business in media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, amongst other things, record labels, recording studio, and apparel line, and an alcoholic spirits business, marketing agency, television network, and media company, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power and reputation and the brand of Sean Combs. So then on page 6, they go on to say, Combs and other members and associates of Combs Enterprise wielded power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to, amongst other things, as freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, and masturbated during and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of Combs Enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines internationally. This is why the feds are involved. We are talking about international travel with people who may or may not have been sex workers were brought across state lines. That is no joke, okay? Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, often involved multiple commercial sex workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in parts to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept video he filmed of the victims engaging in sex acts with these commercial workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exhaustion and drug use. Imagine how long he had these women fucking. I don't even know what other words to use. This lasted 4 days, so I'm sure these people were tired, sore as hell, dehydrated, to the point where you need IV fluids because you've been getting rammed through for days. This is sick and demonic. This is nothing but sex magic. Let me continue. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise include high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other business employees. They facilitated the freak-offs, amongst other things, booking hotel rooms for freak-offs, stocking hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricants, extra linens, lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try and mitigate the room damage, arranging for travel for victims and commercial sex workers. Then they're going to say, Combs, with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids in or about March 2024 during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California. Law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricants. 1,000 bottles. That is insane. He had an entire CVS in his home of baby oil and lubricants. Then they're going to say Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in freak-offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, amongst other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victims' appearances, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from the freak-offs, Combs, amongst other things, hit, kicked, and threw objects and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted partaking in the freak-offs. Victims believed they could not refuse Combs' demand without risking their financial or job security or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used sensitive, embarrassing, incriminating recordings that he made during the freak-offs as collateral to ensure continued obedience and silence of the victims. If this does not sound like he's running his own black version of Mossad, I don't know what the hell this is. As I'm reading this, I'm getting more and more pissed. This was so calculated and devious. This man is the Harlem Shake version of Mossad, because that is what they do to princes, sheiks, government entities to keep them under their thumb. Okay? That's the same thing that they're saying that Ghislaine Maxwell learned from her daddy, because he was very much involved in that mess. This is sounding very, very Jeffrey Epstein-ish to me, but the hip-hop version of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's continue. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise, including Combs, security personnel at times carried firearms. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried and brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims and witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during the search of Combs' residence in Miami and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized firearms, ammunition, including 3 AR-15s, with defaced serial numbers as well as drum magazines. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise enabled Combs' control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise at times witnessed Combs' violence towards the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, members and associates of Combs Enterprises helped conceal the violence and abuse by, amongst other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or Combs' residence. These occasions include instances in which victims were required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries that Combs inflicted without being publicly observed. We know that he did this for a fact with Kim Porter when he busted her nose and she had to hide out. He did this with Cassie when he beat her so bad in that hotel room that she had to hide out. Also, him having these firearms on him. Cassie also stated that in her original deposition. So it looks like a lot of the things that I have been reporting and others have been reporting for a while now is here in the federal indictments. Members and associates of Combs Enterprises also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. When employees witnessed his abuse or others threatened Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence include kidnapping and arson. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects and people, as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in and about late 2023, following public allegation of Combs' crimes, Combs and members and associates of his enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent, not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, amongst other things, provided these victims and witnesses with false narratives of events in an effort to conceal Combs' crimes, and Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. So this goes back to what I was reporting around this time last year when he was trying to, when everybody was giving him props, like, oh, he's giving back the publishing, oh, he got a change of heart, and I called bullshit. And remember, later on it came out that for people to get their publishing back, they had to sign NDAs, stating that they would not speak about Justin, Diddy, or his mama.
Reassigning the music publishing rights to artists who helped make his record label Bad Boy Records into what it is today.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm not boosted or impressed by this gesture, okay? Let's start there. Him giving back publishing to half the music that's in this publishing is older than most of y'all in this chat. Half y'all don't know these damn songs. Y'all ain't gonna go back and listen to no damn Carl Thomas, G-Dep. And let's not forget, he sold the popular songs. Did we forget that? He sold a lot of the very popular publishing already. And let's not forget, he sold the popular songs. Did we forget that? I see a lot of people who are confused about the whole, why would he want them to sign an NDA saying that they can never disparage Puffy, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs? A lot of people do not understand why Justin Combs is in there, okay? And if you go back and you watch my breakdown, I did 2 videos on the Puff and Mace situation, one in 2020 and one in 2021, I believe, maybe 2022. And I broke that down in there. Justin Combs, from the time he was a tot, has been making money off of publishing off of all of these artists, because that's a hustle that a lot of people do, right? In order to create generational wealth, they'll put their kids' names on an album, even though they have nothing to do with it. DJ Khaled does it with Assad. Beyonce has done it with Blue Ivy. Even though they really don't have nothing to do with the music, it's another way to keep the money in the family. So instead of giving that publishing to somebody else and helping build somebody else's generational wealth, you can just put your kid's name on the publishing and then they can get money they can get all future revenue. So Justin has been living good off of all these people's music and publishing that he had nothing to do with. That is why he's a part of the NDA. Diddy doesn't want anybody dragging Justin, okay? Mace was one of the first people to really put it out there, because he knew all of this was coming down the pipeline. So him trying to give back that publishing was very much calculated. And I stated this a year ago before any of this stuff ever came out. And they go on to say, the racketeering conspiracy, from at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, the defendant, and others known and unknown, being persons employed and associated with Combs Enterprises, described in paragraphs 6 through 12, engaged in activities in which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, and agreed together with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the United States, Title 18, United States Code Section 1962C, that is, to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in conduct of affairs of Combs Enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, as that term is defined in Title 18, United States Section 1961-1 and 1961-5, consisting of multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of state law, California Penal Code 207. Then they also go on to say multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provisions, state law, California Penal Code 451, arson, multiple acts involving bribery, chargeable under the following provisions, state law, California Penal Code 137. I'm going to skip around a bit. Then they go on to say multiple acts under Title 18 relating to the transportation and inducement to travel for the purpose of prostitution and other illegal sexual activities, and multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or the distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including cocaine, oxycodone, alprazolam, methamphetamine, child, and a bunch of other drugs. Ketamine. I don't do drugs. I don't know all these names, but I do recognize ketamine, child. So he was out here doing all types of nonsense. Instead of just making his love album, he was pimping out people, bribing people, threatening folks, and he was also a drug mule, per this indictment. Then around line 17, count 3, the transportation to engage in prostitution, they're saying from at least about 2009, okay, up to and including about 2024, the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with the intent for that individual to engage in prostitution, and attempted and aided and abetted and willfully caused transportation of female victims and commercial sex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution. I'm looking at you, Carisha, since she's a whore and loves to brag about being a whore. So this is more proof that her poppy was probably having her engage in being a whore as well. And let's not forget, he's very much tied to Zeus Network, Lemon Pepper, and all the baddies. Because there's been all types of rumors. I would not be surprised as more comes out that some of those baddies were also some of the girls that were being pimped from East to West Coast. Because remember, in my deep dive, Diddy was getting ready to have a show on Zeus Network. And him and Lemmy are very close. And they've been saying them baddies are out here selling a little something.
23, and I'm here with
City Girls. The City Girls.
Y'all know what it is. How you feeling? Where you know me from?
I don't know.
You don't remember? We went on, where did we go? We went on a trip. You don't remember where we went? No, it was like a group of us. I can't remember.
I know you. That's where I know you from. I know.
Where? You remember now? Oh, okay. All right. Well, now we're here. Girl, that was not what I was trying to talk about. Did you know it's the 50th day of hip hop today?
No.
Me neither.
not be surprised if this rabbit hole goes even deeper and more people are indicted. So then on line 20, this is basically, and they're just going over more of the violations and codes. So around the last line, which is line 20, as a result of committing the offenses alleged in the count 3 of the indictment, Sean Combs, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant Title 18, United States Code Section 2428, any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, and any and all property, real or personal, that was used or intended to be used to commit or facilitate the commission of said offense, any and all property, real and personal, that constitute or derived from proceeds traceable to all commissions of said offense, including but not limited to sums of money in the United States currency, representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. All right, y'all. So Mother Goose, aka TT, did her thing, broke down that indictment for y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. What do y'all think about all of this? And do you think that this is basically going to snowball into something bigger? Because trust and believe, Diddy was not alone. And if he's looking at real jail time, which he is, he's going to start singing and throwing people under the bus. And I think this is why a lot of people in the industry right now are quiet. Diddy's not the only one. And like I said earlier this year, we are in the age of Aquarius, and a lot of people are tired of being used, abused, and mistreated. For so long, this industry has not been fair. You've had people who've gained power, and then they turn around and they become the enslavers to people who they deem beneath them. So it's really sad. You know, all of the things he was blessed with, only to allow ego and arrogance to basically tear down his castle. And I believe his sons will go down as well. And stop acting like they're 12 and 13. These are grown men who are closer to 30 than they are 20. So let's stop with the, leaving his kids out of it. His kids were also indicted. The only one that was not indicted was Quincy. And that's not his biological child. So Al, be sure, hold your son tight and keep him away from this fuck shit. So with that being said, I look forward to reading y'all's comments down below. Make sure you guys hit this video with a like. Feel free to share the video. And I will talk to y'all later. And I will also do a live stream as well. Deuces.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.